Jack was over 50. One quiet weekend afternoon, he sat by the window of his favorite cafe. Across from him was Ellen, a woman he had met a few months ago. They didn't say much. Jack gently stirred his coffee. Ellen offered a soft smile, her eyes quietly following the flow of people passing by outside. And in that stillness, Jack suddenly noticed something he had never paid attention to before. When he was with her, he didn't have to try to be interesting. There were no tricks, no charming lines. He didn't have to do anything. Just being there was enough. Not everyone understands why older men are drawn to older women. They are no longer in their 20s. They don't need short skirts. They don't wear thick layers of makeup. Yet there is something about them. Something that makes a man stay, makes him go quiet, makes him remember. It's not something you can easily name, not a specific gesture, not a clever phrase. It's in the small things, the very small things. Sometimes even the woman herself doesn't realize she's doing them, but a man remembers. Maybe it's the way she nods when he tells a story, the way she touches his hand when she laughs, or simply the way she doesn't rush to reply to his messages, and he knows she's truly living her day. This piece isn't about how to seduce. It doesn't teach you how to keep someone close. It's just a gentle walk through the world of small things, the kind of things older women do with experience, with time, with old scars, and with a heart that is quieted after many seasons of love. We're about to walk through 20 of those little things, and who knows, maybe you'll smile as you realize you've been doing them all along. You just never thought that such quiet, ordinary moments could reach so deeply into a man's heart. In this first part, we'll talk about the things that make men feel heard and understood. It's no coincidence that a man can recall every detail of a short conversation with a woman he once loved, even if it happened years ago. That feeling of being truly heard and seen doesn't come from words or advice. It comes from the space she creates, a space where he can be himself without fear of being interrupted, judged, or analyzed. Older women rarely try to understand men with logic alone. They listen with a heart that has learned to be still. It's listening without interrupting. When Tom talked about the day his boss scolded him in front of the whole team, Sarah, a new friend he had met at a book reading, didn't jump in right away. She didn't say you should have done this or laugh and brush it off with, "That's what upset you." She simply nodded slowly, her gaze resting quietly on his face. In that moment, Tom felt seen, not judged, not corrected. Older women often don't feel the need to win every conversation. They've learned that sometimes what people need most is just someone to be present. Not to fix anything, but to touch the weariness sitting quietly inside. It's speaking through calm, steady eyes. There's a clear difference between a look that tries to impress and one that's simply present. Linda didn't look at men as if she was assessing them or searching for something. She didn't raise her brows. She didn't blink too fast. She didn't use her eyes like a game. Her gaze was calm, unhurried, open, as if she was listening with her whole self. For many men, that one quiet glance is enough to soften the part of them that's always on guard. It sends a message. I'm here. No rush. It's remembering the small details about him. When David dropped by Helen's house, he was surprised to see a bag of spicy snacks already set out on the table. Before he could ask, she said, "I remember you mentioned you like to eat these on long drives." It wasn't about the snacks. It was about the feeling of being remembered, of being deeply heard. Older women rarely show care by asking too many questions. They remember quietly. A favorite thing, an old hurt, a song he once played, and they use those pieces to say, "I see you. I truly see you." It's not revealing everything right away. Anne was the kind of woman who made a man want to see her again, not because she told thrilling stories, but because there was something in her that stayed just a little hidden. She wasn't keeping secrets. She just wasn't in a rush. In a world where people share too fast and too much, a woman who holds a part of her life close becomes a rare and refreshing presence. It's not a game. It's the understanding that real closeness takes time. And no one deserves to know everything about us just because they're curious. It's sitting in silence without feeling awkward. John had dated many women. But when he first met Maria, something happened that he hadn't experienced before. After a walk together, there was a moment when they both sat quietly for several minutes, and neither of them felt the need to fill the silence. Maria didn't rush to say something. She didn't turn on music. She didn't pretend to ask a random question. She just breathed gently, her eyes drifting across the branches, shifting with the season. He realized that with her silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was a pause, a kind of quiet companionship without pressure. When a man is heard, seen, and held in a space of gentle stillness without judgment, he feels free to be who he truly is. But that's only the beginning of a deeper bond. Now let's talk about the things that make a man feel valued. A man may be strong out in the world. He might be the head of a company or the pillar of his family. But deep inside, there is always a tender part. The part that longs to be needed, to be trusted, and to be truly seen. Older women rarely try to convince a man that he is amazing. They just do small things. And those things give him something precious. The feeling that he matters. Not for his status. Not for his income. But simply for who he is. It's saying thank you for the small things. Bill was not the showy type. He quietly fixed the loose door handle in Claire's apartment, just like any man who had spent years repairing things around the house. When Claire walked out and noticed the door now opened smoothly, she simply said, "I know you did that. Thank you. It makes me feel so much safer." That was all. No fuss. No drama. But something warm lit up inside Bill. Older women understand that gratitude doesn't depend on how big the act is. It lies in presence. And when a man is thanked not out of obligation, but because his kindness is truly seen, he remembers it longer than any gift. It's complimenting who he is, not how he looks. You're really patient. Not many people stay that calm when a car breaks down in the middle of the street. That one line from Jennifer made Mark smile the rest of the evening. Compliments about appearance are something men hear early in life. But compliments about character, kindness, steadiness, honesty, those are rare. Especially once they grow older. Older women see beyond what's visible. They notice the gentleness behind the quiet, the endurance behind the calloused hands, and when they speak to that, a man feels deeply affirmed. It's asking for small help with sincere appreciation. Could you reach the honey jar on the top shelf for me? A simple question, but to a man like Frank, it meant he was trusted. When Emily smiled and thanked him, it wasn't because she couldn't do it herself. It was because she allowed him to help, and that made him feel useful. Not every woman understands this. Men don't need to do a lot. They just need to be needed, not used. Just needed in a meaningful way. Experienced women know how to give men a chance to show up, and they do it without making them feel used or manipulated. It's supporting his goals without trying to fix him. Paul had been dreaming about opening a small woodworking shop after retirement. He shared it with Laura one quiet evening. She didn't ask, "Are you sure?" She didn't say, "Have you run the numbers?" She simply asked, "If you do that, what do you imagine your days would feel like?" Then she listened. No shaping, no correcting, no advice. That quiet encouragement made Paul feel respected. Older women don't love a man for who he could become. They love him for how he is. And they understand that sometimes the best way to nurture someone's dream is to not touch it too much. It's taking care of herself without needing to prove it. Lisa never had to say, "I'm independent." The way she kept a regular sleep schedule, the way she ate simply, the way she walked every morning, that was her way of saying clearly, "I value myself." And to Michael, a man who had loved many women but always felt something missing, it was that quiet steadiness that made him want to be a better man, not to win her love, but to be worthy of the calm she carried. Older women don't need to take care of others to prove their worth. They care for themselves. And that alone reminds a man that loving someone like her cannot be done halfway. Yes, dear friends, there is a kind of man who, after all the storms he's weathered, no longer needs applause. But if there's a woman who makes him feel trusted, who sees him in the most ordinary things, he will stay. Because the feeling of being valued doesn't come from success. It comes from the way someone looks at you when you are simply yourself. No effort, no competition, no trying to prove you deserve love. Not everyone understands that a man who has been through pain can be especially sensitive to feeling controlled, judged, or made to feel wrong. When they were younger, they could endure arguments and intense debates. But with time, what they long for most is to be with someone who doesn't make them feel like they have to defend themselves. Older women, not just because of age, but because they have lived, they have lost, they have forgiven. They know how to make a man feel light, feel like he can just be, feel safe. It's stepping out of drama without dragging things out. When Rachel's phone rang for the third time during dinner, Alan raised an eyebrow slightly. He didn't say a word, but Rachel noticed. She silenced the phone, placed it face down, and gave him a small smile. "I know you don't like that. Thank you for your patience." No sulking, no blame, no debate. She didn't need to say, "It wasn't my fault," or "My friend was just calling." She simply chose the right silence. Older women know how to walk away from unnecessary conflict. They don't need to win. They have learned that some things are worth more than pride. It's laughing at her own mistakes. One time, Judith burned an entire batch of cookies because she forgot to adjust the temperature. When Robert found out, she just laughed and said, "One more reason I shouldn't open a bakery." No excuses, no shame, no defenses. Her laughter softened the moment. Men at any age carry a fear of being judged. When the woman beside him can laugh at herself, he realizes he doesn't have to be perfect either. It's speaking slowly without rushing. Amanda had a way of speaking that made people want to stay and listen. She didn't interrupt. She didn't take over the space. Her words often came with pauses, as if she was truly tasting each thought. For men like Gary, who had spent years in rushed meetings, overflowing inboxes, and fast-paced relationships, that slowness was a gift. Older women aren't in a hurry. And when they're not in a hurry, men learn to slow down too, to listen more, to be truly present. It's saying sorry and letting things go. During a small argument, Sophie said something that hurt Mason. The next day she texted, "I'm sorry. I was wrong to say that. I understand if you need time." That was it. No explanations, no long justifications, no reasons why she didn't mean it. Mason felt at ease. He didn't have to fight to be heard. Experienced women know that saying sorry doesn't make them small, and letting go isn't weakness. They apologize. Then they leave it there. They don't pull anyone along with their anger for another day. It's saying no clearly without long explanations. "I can't join you this Saturday. I need a quiet day." That sentence from Laura didn't make Thomas feel rejected. In fact, it made him feel calm, because she was clear. She wasn't afraid to name her needs, and she didn't feel the need to explain herself. That clarity makes a man feel safe. He doesn't have to guess. He doesn't have to worry if he did something wrong. Older women are not afraid to say no. They have learned that a healthy relationship doesn't require agreement all the time, and that honesty, spoken simply, is one of the deepest forms of respect. When a man feels like he doesn't have to watch every word, when he's not afraid of being misunderstood, when he doesn't have to explain why he's tired, that's when he knows he's next to someone who makes him feel safe. It's not through big promises or grand commitments. It's in the way she lives, gently, clearly, without pressure. And for a mature man, that is the most precious kind of peace. Connection doesn't come from words. It comes from a feeling, a steady, quiet, lasting sense that beside this woman, he can breathe. He can feel inspired. He can be himself. And he can see something he once thought was gone forever. The belief that to love and to stay is truly possible. Older women don't try to hold on to men with words. They don't build golden cages. They don't try to make themselves indispensable. But it is exactly because they don't need to hold on that they make a man want to stay. It's sharing her personal passion with ease. Catherine loved working with clay. On weekend afternoons, she often sat in the backyard, hands covered in earth, her shirt damp with sweat, but her eyes shone bright. The first time Peter stopped by, she simply said, "I do this to keep my hands busy and my mind calm." She didn't show off. She didn't explain. She just did what she loved. And that made Peter see she had a world of her own, rich, full, and alive, without needing anyone to applaud it. Experienced women don't wait for approval to live in rhythm with themselves. And that gives men a quiet sense of peace, because they know her love is a choice, not a lifeline. It's replying to messages with intention, not urgency. Jake had dated many women who texted all day, but Mia was different. Sometimes she would take hours to reply, but when she did, the message was thoughtful, warm, and never rushed. I'm at the park rereading an old novel. The midday sun is soft and the air smells like fresh grass. Just picked up my phone. "How are you?" No apology, no rush, and yet never distant. Older women don't let their phones dictate the pace of their lives, and men find that deeply reassuring, because it says, "I'm truly living, and if I choose to message you back, it's because I want to. Not because I'm afraid you'll leave." It's showing care gently without chasing. Nancy often left small notes. A letter tucked into a jacket pocket. A warm meal on a windy day. A quiet check-in after a long day at work, not flashy, not demanding a reply. Her care didn't bind, but it had a quiet pull. Older women understand that true connection doesn't come from clinging. It comes from being someone who brings lightness to another's heart. And men, after many loves, learn to tell the difference between true care and possession. It's touching gently with warmth, not seduction. At a loud year-end party, while Daniel sat feeling tense, Linda simply placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Just a brief touch. No words. No hidden meaning. But Daniel remembered it, because in that moment he felt understood. Men don't always need comfort in words, but they are deeply tuned into feeling connected. And sometimes a timely touch says more than 1,000 sentences. Experienced women don't touch to seduce. They touch to be present. To say, "I'm here, not to fix you, just to be beside you for a little while." It's being confident in her age without needing to explain. When asked her age, Melissa simply smiled. I'm 56. Years full of lessons and a few worthy wrinkles. No shame, no defense, no effort to appear younger. And the man sitting across from her, even though a few years younger, felt freed from all the weight of trying to be perfect. Experienced women don't try to prove they're still attractive. They are attractive because they no longer feel the need to prove anything. And that self-acceptance tells a man she is someone he can trust, lean on, and walk beside for a long, long time. Closing words, there is a quiet truth people rarely say out loud. Men, once they've weathered enough of life's highs and lows, no longer love through fleeting sparks. They love through a feeling. The feeling of being heard without interruption. The feeling of being needed yet never bound. The feeling of being fully themselves in a relationship where they don't have to play a role. Older women aren't attractive because of age. They're magnetic because of the calm they carry. The calm of someone who no longer needs to compete, no longer needs to prove anything. They do the smallest things, a glance, a quiet thank you, a gentle touch, and then they step back, letting love move the way it was always meant to. And it is that natural ease that reaches the deepest places. A man may never say, I love you because of how you placed your hand on my shoulder. But he will remember, he will stay, and he will hold on. Not because he was captured, but because he wants to hold close, the one who makes him feel he is still enough. If you, the woman reading this, recognize yourself in these words, don't think it's too small to be noticed. Don't doubt the quiet power of your stillness, of your quiet kindness. Because you, in those moments that seem so simple, are the warm light for someone who once thought love had lost its way. If what you've read here feels close to your heart or reminds you of a woman you cherish, please share this message. And don't forget to subscribe to the Light of Wise Elders channel, where together we rediscover the lasting tender beauty of mature love. Because love at any age still longs to be understood. And experienced women carry within them the light this world so deeply needs.